my video cut off because my phone got too hot. So let's continue. Water is continuously passing away from the body, from some organ of elimination, either skin, kidneys, or lungs. If the kidneys become obstructed, we all know there is serious trouble. The dry air entering the lungs all the time absorbs moisture from the pulmonary membranes. Therefore, it is necessary to supply the body with plenty of pure water at all times. The average person eliminates about 5 pints of water in 24 hours, and an equal new supply must be made in order to preserve the fluidity of the blood. People whose work is of laborious nature, which necessitates profuse perspiration, naturally require more water than others. It will also be noted that the diet has a great deal to do with the amount of water demanded by nature. I think I'm going to move my phone so it's not in the sun. People who eat largely, it will also be noticed that the diet has a great deal to do with the amount of water demanded by nature. People who eat largely of animal products and use salt, pepper, spices, and condiments require considerably more water to dissolve and cleanse the system of these unhealthful things. People who use mostly fruit, vegetables, grains, and avoid the use of stimulating foods and drinks require less water, as a great many vegetables and fruits are comprised of more than half water. Water is the only substance which really quenches thirst. Other beverages quench thirst in proportion to the amount of water they contain, and are unwholesome to the extent of the injurious elements that are aided. The skin performs several important duties for the body, and most important being excretion. The fact would be easily demonstrated if a coat of paint or varnish were applied all over the body, for a person would die almost as quickly as if a dose of poison had been given. The millions of little sweat glands are actively and constantly engaged in separating from the blood impurities which if retained would cause disease and death. The skin is also an organ of respiration. It absorbs oxygen and exhales poisonous gases, although most of this work is done by the lungs. In lower animals, all the work of respiration is done by the skin. The skin not only absorbs oxygen, but absorbs liquids to a great extent. If a person stays in a warm bath for some time, the weight of the body may be considerably increased. Seamen, when deprived of fresh water, wet their clothing with the seawater, and the skin absorbs the water in part. That's kind of wild to think about, that you can absorb water through seawater. Aquatic ape theory? No, that's a tangent I'm not going to go on today. The skin helps greatly in the regulation of temperature. It is non-conducting and dense, which prevents to a considerable degree the escape of necessary body heat. When the body becomes overheated from strenuous vital activities, fever, or external heat, the skin relieves the tissues by favoring escape of heat. This is exactly what happens in fever when you give plenty of water and bathe the outside of the skin, excite perspiration, etc. The moisture evaporates through the perspiratory glands out upon the surface. It is a powerful cooling process. The skin may also be called the organ of touch. It is the most extensive sensibility organ of the body, and is very closely connected with all of the great nerve centers. That is why water treatments are so effective and have such a good effect on nervous disorders. Excuse me. So, the skin is tied to the nervous system, which soothing the skin through bathing calms the nerves and the nervous system. As someone who has some anxiety and sometimes depression struggles, I can say that baths definitely help me in that way. Every opening of the body to the surface is aligned with mucous membranes. Is in line with mucous membranes. Mucous membrane lines are air passages and lungs. Also, the uteral and genital organs and the whole alimentary canal. The mucous membrane resembles the skin in structure, as it is made up of several layers like the skin. It also secretes and excretes. It excretes foul material and secretes useful substances when in fluid state. The importance of skin as an eliminatory organ is evident by the offensive odor of perspiration, which has the distinct odor of tobacco if a person uses it in any form. It also proves that skin is not only eliminates, but eliminates poisons from the body as well. Every movement we make destroys a portion of living tissues. When they are dead, they are poisonous and must be removed. Some of the poisons in the system are very deadly, which as poisons from the urine, bile duct, gallbladder, etc. They must be eliminated quickly, and there are marvelous uses of. And here, the marvelous use of water is again exhibited. Pure water dissolves these poisons whenever it comes in contact with them, and is brought by the current of circulation to the proper organs, liver, skin, kidneys, and lungs, and the poisons are expelled. It's interesting the use of poisons here. I can think of, metabolic waste instead of poisons, because when he says every movement you make in your body creates poisons, that's true. Being alive creates waste, and the faster you live, the more movement, the more things that are happening, the more poisons. So that's why I think meditation and slowing down and taking a deep breath is so good for you, because it lowers that rate of cellular respiration and poisons, and you can kind of catch up on your breath and clean your blood a little bit. That's just my thought. Excuse me, I'm kind of a little itchy in the throat and congested this morning. I really don't remember where I was. Here we go. The skin has millions of pores from which flow consistently a stream of poisons from the disintegration of the body. As we perspire, these poisons are left on the skin. As time passes and more are left, if the skin is normally active, it will take 3 or 4 days for these poisons to form a layer, which could be compared with a thin coating of varnish. Unless the person bathes properly and often, they will continue to accumulate and increase until it would undergo a process of decomposition. So it'll start to rot. I'll sit by Brutus here. We all know that a person who does not bathe often has a very unpleasant and unpardonable odor about them. It is offensive this offense is not equal to the evil done to oneself. This accumulation obstructs the work of the millions of little pores, and some of the poisons are reabsorbed, thus poisoning the system. Frequent cleansing with water will keep the skin wholly free of poisons. It is easily understood why so many people have torpid skins, but it is not uncommon to find people who have never taken a real general bath in their lives, and most of them do not practice it enough. That's kind of wild to think about. The privilege of taking a bath. A cleansing bath every day is best, but at least 3 times a week. You wash your face and hands every day, why not the entire body? A cleansing bath 3 times a week will keep the skin supple and clean. The bath should be as indispensable to a woman as the mirror. Interesting comment. Gender or no gender there. Many very refined and fastidious people who spend many hours in dressing, and women in using creams, lotions, and makeup to beautify the portions of the skin exposed to view would be quite shocked to learn that the true condition of the unwashed skin. We need not say that this is true of everyone, but it is true of a great many. Sorry, I am so gross right now. Let's just look at Brutus. Oh! Scared him away anyway. Okay. Inactivity of the skin is one of the main causes of all skin disease, coupled with an aggravated condition caused by wrong dietetic habits. The relation between the skin and the kidneys is very close. The inactivity of the skin is very often caused by kidney disorders, nervous disorders, rheumatism, gout, and dyspepsia. It is a common cause of lung affliction. How about allergies? The value of water as a preventative of disease was recognized by ancient people. The baths were used to a far greater extent than in modern times. Moses, who was the great Hebrew lawgiver, commanded his people to be scrupulously clean and made bathing a part of their religious duties. His example was followed by Muhammad, who required his people to bathe before each of the 5 daily prayers. Cleanliness is next to godliness. The Greeks regarded the bath as a very essential means of securing physical health. Daily baths were practiced by them from the youngest to the oldest. The Romans made a luxury of the bath. The most renowned physician, from Hippocrates down to Galen, Celsus, Boerhaave, and others such as Sebastian Kept, Marvel Keith, and many more, agree that bathing is an invaluable means of preserving health. Nevertheless, as people have become more enlightened and more civilized, bathing has become more and more disregarded. That's funny to think about. 1 second. Okay. During the Dark Ages in Europe, the bath was unknown, to which fact Maclot, a noteworthy historian, tells us that, in his opinion, accounted for in his opinion, accounted for the terrible plagues and pestilence of that period. They felt the need of something. They felt the need of something and started using poisonous drugs. Bathing as a natural instinct, and all nature shows the importance of baths. Rain is a natural shower bath. The influence of it has shown in the fresher, brighter, and more erect appearance of all living plants. Birds and animals do not neglect their morning baths. If man's instinct were not perverted by the habits of civilization, he would value the bath highly and bathe freely, as do the mere humble creatures whose instincts are still true to nature. Men's intelligence has made it possible for him to become grossly perverted in almost everything: food, appetite, bathing, etc. Man does not go astray from nature because he lacks intelligence or instinct, but because he wishes to gratify his own desires. Many are afraid to use one of God's greatest blessings, pure water, because they have never experienced its beneficial effect. All right. His chapters are a little funny. This one's called Water, but he talks a lot about the skin. Kind of wandering. The next chapter is water effects and treatment. So we can do that one next time. This video will be in 2 parts. But yeah, mostly I wanted to make a video just to touch base with caring for the body, other people, wanting to share how to care for the body, and just feel a little bit buoyed in spirit. And thank you guys so much, and hope you enjoyed. Bye.